Hey everyone, Jake here for American Muscle, and in this video we're taking a look at the X-Force Varex 3-inch catback exhaust system with the polished quad tips fitting 2018 to 2023 Mustang GT Fastback models. Now this system is perfect for the Mustang owner who values high quality and customizability in their exhaust setup. It's also a great choice for you if you want to be able to control just how loud your exhaust can get, as this is a valve setup and comes with two different choices for your mid-pipe. So it's an excellent choice for those of you who may have wanted the factory valved exhaust but missed out on that option. And those of you who do get that option, you can still get this to work on your car. We'll talk more about that as we get into it. Now it is a bit harder to rate this system because there is a lot of customizability between the valves and the different mid-pipes, but in its loudest setting with the non-resonated mid-pipe, we're gonna give this a very strong 4 out of 5 on our loudness meter. This one is gonna bring the noise. Though keep in mind you can tone this down should you want or need to do that. So with that, let's get into it. Now if you're watching this channel, you're probably like me and you do enjoy a rowdy exhaust, but you might also value your hearing and sanity. And if so, this Varex system is gonna be just right for you. It's got the volume, it's got the tone, but the valves in here can easily make this system instantly more tolerable for a road trip or taking grandma to the store. But in the event your grandma also likes a nice exhaust note at the push of a button, this thing completely changes its attitude. Now again, this is a full catback system. It's gonna replace your factory mufflers and resonators. You get these two mufflers right here as your primary source of sound control. Now these are where the valves are housed. As you can see right here, you've got the actuators on the outside. And X-Force describes them as straight through. Now, there's still quite a bit of baffling, and these things are quite hefty. They've still, as you can tell, they've got quite a bit of baffling in there. So it makes for a very distinct change when you've got the valves closed versus when you've got them opened. And it really does change up the Mustang's tone. You still get some of that Coyote V8 noise coming through, but it's really quite subdued, even more so than I was anticipating. So this is a perfect setting for a daily driver or a car that's gonna see a lot of long highway slogs. You can still get some of that V8 rumble that you enjoy, but it easily fades into the background and turns the S550 into a really excellent grand touring car. Crack the valves open though, and it's a whole different animal. It barks, it growls, you get a lot more noise out of the pipes. Now the stock GTs sound really good, but with this exhaust installed, it just sounds better. I can't think of a better way to describe it. It's just more better-er. Now you've also got a choice when it comes to your mid-pipe. So, choice number one right here is the resonated mid-pipe. Now X-Force describes these as hot dog style resonators. And these have some nice resonance to them. They're really just bullet style resonators. Now, if you really want to make some more noise, you've got a non-resonated mid-pipe in the kit as well. So you can put one on, decide that you want more or less noise, and change them out. So again, this is just another method of controlling the volume and the sound that you get out of it. If you really want more noise out of it, non-resonated is the way to go. But if you want something that's a little more subdued, again, if you're looking at a daily driver, the resonated choice is going to be there. And again, you can just hang on to it and switch them out later on if you desire. Everything just bolts and clamps into place so you don't have to cut anything or make the choice once and have to live with it. But again, the key, of course, to the sound are the valves inside of the muffler, and they change that sound profile with a snap. Now, drone is also a non-issue with this system, thanks to the mufflers, the resonators that we were discussing, but also because of the included X-pipe. Now, both mid-pipes here include an X-pipe. Now, X-pipes are great because they allow for a crossover of the exhaust gas pulses. So even with an uneven firing order like you find in a V8, those pulses can cross over and mesh together in order to cancel out dissonant frequencies that cause drone. So you're not gonna get any of that whoop whoop type of noise that really grates on your ears. Not only that, but since they do cross over, it helps with flow and exhaust gas scavenging, so you can make more power as well. Now everything here is gonna exit same in the stock location through the quad polished tips here, which is a nice step up from the stock thin looking tips. They've of course got a really nice mirror finish to them. They've got the X-Force logo stamped into the top as well. So for the eagle-eyed enthusiast out there, they'll note this setup before you even start it up. But of course, we need to spend another moment talking about these valves. Now, if your car does not have the factory active exhaust, you're gonna just install this whole kit, the wiring, the control box, and the mufflers as they come out of the box, just like this. Now you can open and close those valves using the included remote key fobs. So A is gonna close the valves, B is gonna open them up, and you do get two of these little remotes. So you can mount these inside of the cabin, you can keep them on your keys, basically do whatever you want. As long as they're within the confines of the car, you won't have an issue. And if your car came from the factory with the active exhaust, guess what? You're in luck too. Using the included brackets here, you're gonna just transfer over your actuator motors from the stock mufflers to the Varex ones. You're gonna mount the exhaust up and your system will perform exactly like stock, only it's gonna sound a heck of a lot better. So it's pretty slick stuff, and it doesn't exclude anybody who's got the active exhaust on there. You can keep full factory functionality with this. And if you don't have the active exhaust, well, you're just adding it in a pretty easy way. Now, as we've alluded to already, this is a high quality system, and hopefully you can see that on the camera here. The entire thing from flanges back to the tips is all comprised of T304 stainless steel, so it's about as rust and corrosion resistant as they come. The piping here is all 2.5 inches in diameter, with the tips measuring in at 4 inches in diameter. And as we've already discussed, this entire thing is designed to fit right in place of your factory system without you having to modify anything on your car. Now, your actuators for the valves already come pre-installed on the mufflers. You can get all the wiring and the control box, basically everything you need to get this fitted pretty easily. It's all pretty nicely made too. All the welds look nice, everything feels good coming out of the box too, and it's almost a shame that you're not gonna see this too much once it's on the car, because the piping is really nice to look at, but maybe that's just me. The hangers are reinforced, so it is really worth springing for this setup if you're looking for a solid exhaust and you've got the money to spend on it. Now, of course, having said all that, as you may expect, this is a premium system, and the price does reflect that. Expect to pay around $2,300 for this setup. So it is decidedly more expensive than some other exhausts on the market, but you're getting a seriously high quality system here. You've got great sound, you've got great customizability, and everything is gonna come ready to go for you, which makes it, well, about as easy to install as an active exhaust can be. So if you want that flexibility, you want the customizability, and you want that really good sound quality, this is definitely worth springing for, provided you can fit it in your budget. As far as installation is concerned, this is going to be a slight bit more complicated than your typical exhaust. We're still going to give this a 2 out of 3 on our difficulty meter since everything bolts right up, but you should expect the job to take you around 3 hours. Now, the whole thing again is designed to bolt right in place of your factory system, but you will have to do some running of wires, which are included, in order to get those valves and the switch working properly. However, this is all ready to go for you. You basically just have to plug everything in and route these wires where you want them, but that's why we're building in a little extra time. However, we're gonna show you what that whole process looks like right now. So with that, let's head on out to the shop and we'll walk you through it.
The tools you'll need for this project are an impact gun, a ratchet, a long extension, a 13, a 15, and a 16 millimeter socket, a pair of side cutters, a dead blow hammer, and you'll also need to source some zip ties. Hi everyone, today we're installing an exhaust on our Mustang, so let's get started by watching a short video on how to uninstall the stock exhaust.
All right, first step here, we're gonna loosen up the 2 clamps holding our factory resonator pipe, or really the entire exhaust, to our factory headers. Now, in order to do that, grab a 15 millimeter deep socket, and we're not gonna remove the nuts, just loosen them up a good amount so that they can move freely. All right, next step, we're moving toward the rear of the vehicle, looking at our rear subframe. There are 2 hangers holding the exhaust up to the subframe here. Now, instead of trying to pop these hangers out of the isolators, because doing that and then getting them back in is gonna be pretty tough. Instead of doing that, we're gonna remove these 2 bolts from the frame and then twist down the hangers off the frame. So grab an extension and a 13 millimeter socket. I'm gonna go right over the rear sway bar and get these 2 bolts off. Once you have those off, lift up and unhook it and bring it down. There's a little locking tab here that hooks right into that. So you're just gonna lift up and rotate it off. Next up, I got my buddy Jared to help me out here. This is definitely a 2-person job. Have 1 person at the tips or the mufflers. I'm gonna be over here just tapping those clamps to the side, and we'll set it aside all in one piece.
So our first step on our install is we're going to be reusing the 2 front clamps that we took off with the stock exhaust. So we transferred those over already, and then we've got to put in these 2 adapters to go from the 2.5 to the 3-inch pipes. So we're just going to slide those in, make sure they seat, and then we can go ahead and tighten up these clamps with our 15 millimeter socket. All right, now this kit does come with two different sets of X-pipe. So you can use one without resonators, or you can use one with resonators. The install process is exactly the same for both of them. There's no difference whatsoever. So for our purposes today, we're going to use the X-pipe without resonators. So we're going to go install that first, and then we'll go on with the rest of the install. So to install our X-pipe, we're going to put two of the clamps on the ends, and you want to make sure that these go on the ends with the slots in them that are expanded, because they're going to slide over the adapters that we previously installed. So we'll just slide these on. Now we've got their bolts on the outsides of the pipe so that we've got clearance to be able to tighten them up later. So now we just slide this over the adapter pipes. Now you also want to make sure that this support plate on the bottom of the X-pipe is on the bottom, not on the top. Now once you've got that in, we're going to go ahead and use a pole jack and support that while we finish the rest of the install. All right, now we're ready to attach our under the diff pipe, and we're going to be also reusing the hangers that go right behind the diff. So we'll just take those off, and you want to make sure that the hook on the top of the hanger is facing towards the diff itself. So we'll go ahead and slide that on. We'll slide our clamp on. Now you also want to make sure that the hanger that's attached to the pipe is on the inside and pointing up. And we'll go ahead and temporarily put this hanger in place and let it sit there while we install the muffler. All right, now as you can see, our muffler actually has a flange on it, which matches up with the flange on the tailpipe. So they've also included some studs to put in there so that we can join the two together. So we're just going to install the studs in the flange on the muffler. And you're going to use the short end of the threads to screw those into the muffler. Then using a 6mm wrench, we'll go ahead and tighten them down. So you want to make sure that you've also got the correct muffler for the correct side of the vehicle. One way you can tell is by looking at the top of the muffler, and the hanger on the muffler should be on top and then pointing to the inside of the vehicle. With that being said, what we're going to do is go ahead and put our hanger inside the isolator on the rear, and then we've got a gasket that goes between the two flanges, and we'll put our nuts back on and tighten it up. So now we go ahead and install our hanger into our rear isolator. And then using one of the supplied gaskets, go ahead and put that on the flange on the muffler. And then insert the two studs that we previously installed onto the rear diff pipe. Now once you've got them mated together, go ahead and reinstall your nuts on the studs. And now we can move on to our exhaust tips. Now our exhaust tips come with their own specialty clamps on both of them here. So all we have to do is slide these on. Now I like to have the bolt portion of the bolt on the inside facing up. So we're just going to slide this on like so. Do the same thing for the other one. And now that we've got one side done, you can go ahead and repeat that process from the under diff pipe back for the other side. All right, now that we've got both sides installed, now we can go ahead and start tightening everything up, making sure everything's straight, make sure there's no interference with any of the body pieces or suspension or hoses or wires, anything like that. So first thing we're going to start off with is putting in the 2 bolts for our 2 hangers behind the differential here, and then we'll start tightening everything down. All right, so before we actually tighten down the bolts for our hangers and our clamps, we're going to go ahead and start with our flange nuts here on the muffler and the diff pipe. So using a 14mm wrench, we'll go ahead and tighten up those bolts. Now you want to tighten these down evenly to make sure that that gasket between the 2 flanges seals properly. And repeat that for the other side. So like we mentioned earlier, now is the time to double check all your alignment, make sure everything is straight where you want it to be. Once you've got that settled, now we'll go ahead and just move our way up to the front and tighten all of our clamps. All right, now we move to our front, tighten those 2 down. And by the way, we're tightening all these new clamps down with a 16mm as opposed to the 15mm socket that we used when we took it apart. All right, now we're going to tighten up our 2 bolts on the hangers behind our rear diff using our 13mm socket. All right, finally we'll make sure our tips are in the right orientation and tighten those up with our 13mm socket. All right, now we're ready to actually wire our exhaust system up to our control box. To do that, what we're going to do is inside the trunk area, we're going to lift up our spare tire carrier. All right, now we're ready to actually wire up our exhaust valves. To do that, we're going to start in the trunk area, and what we're going to do is lift up the spare tire cover, move it out of the way, and then right here on the passenger side in the back of the trunk area, there is a grommet on the bottom of the trunk floor. So if you pull that out, like so, you can cut the center of this grommet enough so that you can feed the connectors through it. Now, because we're not doing this as a permanent addition to our vehicle, we're not actually going to cut the grommet. Now you can make an X in here or drill a hole, whatever you want. We're just going to feed the wires through the grommet hole and get everything connected that way. Now we're not actually going to connect them to the exhaust right now. We're going to finish running the wires up to the front of the car, and then we'll come back and hook these up. So we're going to go ahead and feed these through. Now you'll notice that we've got 2 connectors here, one for the driver's side, one for the passenger side. The driver's side is just going to be the 2 wires, the blue and the black wire. We're going to run this through the hole and across the bottom to the driver's side. And the other side that connects that and runs up to the main wiring harness is going to be for the passenger side. So we'll go ahead and feed those through. so. And now we'll go ahead and run the rest of the wiring up to the front of the vehicle. All right, so now we've got it up to the back seat. Now we go inside, and now we can run it along the passenger side up to the fuse panel. All right, now you can obviously run these however works best for you. For our purposes today, we're just gonna run the wires alongside the seat here and down underneath the trim panel by the door and up to the fuse panel. So we'll go ahead, take our wire, feed it in next to the seat cushion, and then we'll run it underneath the trim panel here on the back side and along the door. All right, now we're just going to lift up on this trim panel here and just tuck the wires underneath it. And you can do the same thing on yours, or you can route it however works best for you. Once we get up to the fuse panel here, we're going to go ahead and reach in and pull this cover off and get it out of the way. All right, so we pulled our fuse panel cover out, and we've got our wires running up into the fuse panel area. Now, if we follow the rest of the wires in, you see we've got a white connector here. This is going to plug into our control box for the valves. So we just plug this in like so. And then what you can do is you can attach the back of this control box to the back of the fuse panel. Now you will have to source some double-sided tape or whatever method you choose to do that with, and you can just mount that in there like so. Like I said earlier, since we're not making this permanent, we're not actually going to mount this to our vehicle. So we're just going to tuck it in here like so for now. Now we can go ahead and run our power connector along the back of the firewall here, and then we'll run the wire along the side of the dash so that we can plug it in. So we've got this up here. Then we're just going to tuck the wire in between the dash and the console. Just pull that out a little bit and push it in. And then run the rest of the wire up underneath the glove box. And you can tuck it in under the edge of the carpet behind the glove box. Now, once you get that done, any excess wire, you can just go ahead and bundle it all up and zip tie it together to make sure it stays out of the way. All right, now we're back underneath the car, ready to hook everything up to our valves. So the single wire that's going to go over to our driver's side, what we're going to do is run that underneath this cover here. Over there, we'll zip tie it to the frame, make sure it stays away from any of the heat from the exhaust, and then we'll plug in the passenger side and do the same thing over there. So we'll go ahead and feed this through underneath this cover. There's plenty of room here. Feed it over the other side. And connect it to our plug on the driver's side exhaust. Now, once we've got that done, we'll go ahead and use a zip tie. There's two holes right here in the frame. We'll go ahead and feed that through. Zip tie that in place and cut off the excess. Now we'll come back over here to the passenger side. We'll plug that in as well. Do the same thing, we'll zip tie it up here to the frame. Cut off the excess. And now the extra wire here will feed back up inside the grommet hole, and you can zip tie that up inside the trunk area as well. All right, now we're ready to actually plug it in and get power to our control box. And then once you start the car up, they do provide a key fob to activate the valves. So all you have to do is slide the cover down on the key fob, and you have an A switch and a B switch. A switch will close the valve in the muffler. The B button will open it up. So at this point, you're just about ready to go. Now the install is completely finished now. There's no more reason for us to be touching the exhaust. Everything's tight, everything's lined up. Before you actually fire it up, I highly recommend that you get some rubbing alcohol and a clean cloth and go out and completely wipe down the entire system. That way it'll wipe off any grease or oil or dirt that you may have had on your hands while you were installing it. And that way, when this thing gets heated up to operating temperature, it's not gonna burn in that oil to the system itself, and it'll stay nice and clean. And that wraps up our review and install of the X-Force Varex 3-inch catback exhaust with polished quad tips for your 18 to 23 Mustang GT Fastback. Thanks for watching, and remember, for all things Mustang, keep it right here at AmericanMuscle.com.